Yeah, it's gonna take 5 minutes, and we'll go up and it'll be fun. Keep moving. This is also from Masada, just more spectacular views of the Dead Sea Valley, which, by the way, is one of the lowest points, the lowest elevations on the face of the earth, is the Dead Sea and the Dead Sea Valley.
Are those all caves, the ones there?
I think that, it's hard to say. That's a good question. I think it's just kind of like rock, but they could be, because it's hard to tell. Keep moving here, keep moving along. All right, we're into part 2 now. We're doing okay. This is actually going to be, this is probably my favorite part of the trip. We're going to go to a place called Qasr El Yehud, which means place of the Jews. And it is a traditional site where Jesus was baptized. We don't know that Jesus was baptized there, but we will go there. If you would like, I can help you reaffirm your baptism. I won't rebaptize you, but I did lead a reaffirmation of baptism service here, which you'll get to see. And that's a place that we'll go as well. And then we'll go to Galilee. So I put a little arrow in this time to show you exactly where Qasr El Yehud is on the Jordan River there. And the Jordan River empties into the Dead Sea. So that's where we're going to be at. Here it is, the River Jordan. It looks really pretty, right? Yeah. It is a dirty river. That's a dirty, muddy, murky river. Let me tell you. This is Jeffrey. He was the Catholic on the trip. He was cool. But man, like if he would go someplace, he really added to the atmosphere, because when he got to a place where Jesus walked, it really affected him. He was, I loved him. Great dude. There's Jeffrey getting right. He's the first one in. He's like, I'm getting in this river right now. And then Sungyo Kim's like, I'm just gonna kind of feel it, see how dirty it is. So we'll keep moving along. And there's me leading the reaffirmation of baptism service. Let's go back one. I don't know if I covered this with you guys, but you'll notice there's a buoy right there, right? Like a buoy line there. Do you guys know why there's a buoy line in the river?
It's a drop off in the water. You couldn't cross that.
That's where you couldn't cross or you get shot.
Yeah, that's right. That's the deep end. No, it's not a very, the Jordan River at this part, it's not very, you see how wide it is. It's not very. It's like, maybe 10 feet wide. And it's pretty shallow. That is an international border between Israel and Jordan. You cannot cross, the other side of the river, right there is the nation of Jordan. And you cannot cross that line. You can be arrested or shot if you tick off the wrong person, I guess.
Those are people on the other side, right?
Yeah, well, actually, if you see right over there, Gary, there's a little bit of a dock. There are people you can talk to people on the other side of the river. They're right there, okay, here's the River Jordan, and they're in a different country. You can talk to them, but don't you go over to them. Don't you do it. So that's that blew my mind. I was doing this baptism service. Go ahead. And the entire time, I'm incredibly uncomfortable. I'm 6 feet away from being arrested or shot. Because I'm I got to dip my hand into that water, So we're doing the reaffirmation of baptism. And that's Dr. Yo. He was the one that led our trip. He was one of my professors up at seminary. And he asked me to do the reaffirmation of baptism service.
You didn't do any dunking.
No dunking. In Southern Illinois, they do dunking. I'm about to do a double baptism on the 30th. I've never done a full immersion baptism. They want a full immersion baptism. And I said, sure. So what I'm doing...
Do it in the river.
Yeah, you could almost... That's my... We have a baptistry in the church, like an actual pool.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. There's a lot of... We have more Baptists at this church than Methodists. It's a little strange. They're a little confused about their theology. Harold, they're just a little confused. Harold had a good... Harold, and let's have a little chat here. You and I had a little talk, and you had a pretty good sense of where you came from, because you were part of the AC tradition. But when you came over and joined the Methodists, what's nice about that is you had a good exposure to your AC tradition. By the time you became Methodist and joined the church, you also had a pretty good sense of what it was to be Methodist. These folks don't know that they're Methodists. They think they're in a Baptist church. It's a little strange. Good talk, Harold. So what I'm doing is, as I'm making the sign of the cross in their forehead. And you've heard me say these words before in service. Remember your baptism and be thankful. And that's what I'm doing there to each of the... and I'm having a great time. It was kind of raining, which is what the sprinkles are there. And these guys wearing my clothes. And so I just got pictures of everybody because it was awesome. It was, that was the day it was 50 degrees out, because right after this we went to the Dead Sea and we went swimming. Yeah, and actually, and since you bring that up, what rainy season means is it can be sunny, there could be not a cloud in the sky, and it can still be raining. Don't know how that's possible, because you need, usually around here, you need clouds for it to rain, but it just means that it can start raining at any moment. And it can stop. You can be rain for 2 minutes and then stop and be sunny and hot again. Very, very strange weather. Go ahead and keep moving. Okay, we're going to move up to Galilee. And Galilee is important, of course, because that's where Jesus did most of his ministry. It's where he called his disciples from. And you'll see Nazareth. We'll end up in Nazareth here in a bit. Nazareth's not very far from the Sea of Galilee, which, of course, was Jesus' hometown. We stayed in Tiberias, which is in that little circle there, which is has one of the world's largest diamond mines. Yeah, I think 90% of the world's diamonds go through Tiberias at some point. And I think we are staying in Tiberias. Like I said, it's like almost a carbon copy. We're going to be in Kersey overnight. I'll have to look at that a little more closely. But the benefit to that, for those of you who like jewelry, is that there are very deep discounts on diamonds in Tiberias. So you can get really nice jewelry for a fairly cheap price. So
We need 5,000 for those.
all right, we'll go ahead and keep moving here.
I was hoping for a diamond. I didn't get one.
Are you actually wearing what I got you?
The necklace.
You're wearing I got her a necklace in the Jewish quarter of Old Jerusalem, and it's called The Blessing of the Least. It's based off of Psalm 1. Yeah, Psalm 1.
Did you have any trouble getting through customs with it?
No, but I did get spot checked. When you get to Ben Gurion Airport, which is in Tel Aviv, when I got there, they'll just like pick a random person and just stop you for a minute, and I got stopped because maybe I just looked more tired than everybody else, or I smelled worse than everybody else, or something. It was rough getting over there, and he stopped me, and he just looked at my passport, wanted to know when my birthday was, wanted to know why I was traveling, and it's easier to just give simple answers, and I said vacation. It wasn't vacation; it was a study trip. But it wasn't. They're nice. They like Americans over there because that's their entire economy is American tourism dollars. So anyway, we'll get to Galilee because this is fun. This is an old boat, and I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek. Let's get the other angle here. There are very few things that have survived from the days of Jesus. This is one of those. This boat dates to the 1st century. It's a 2,000-year-old boat that they found back in the 80s. They unearthed it out of like some mud on the banks of the Sea of Galilee. And they had to like cover the whole thing in this, I think they say polyurethane or something, but it was like this protective thing to hold it all together, and they had to like gently remove it because they don't want to break something that's 2,000 years old. So, and they preserved it, and this is an actual fishing boat. This is the kind of boat that Jesus might have been fishing on. This might have been the type of boat that the disciples would have encountered the storm in. But there you go. There's that boat there. You'll probably I think you'll get to see that one. And the next 3 pictures, we'll go ahead and show you that these are fishermen on the Sea of Galilee, showing us how they fish on the sea and how the disciples would have fished. How many of you guys actually do fish? Okay. I've got a lot of fishermen down south. That's all they do. If you're a man and you're in southern Illinois, they fish. That's just what they do. You guys farm, they fish. So we had an interesting sermon back in April about this. But you guys, are used to rod and reel. This is a type of fishing called cast netting, and what they do is they go for bulk, they go for quantity, and they throw this net out, and they have little weights on the end that sink down, and they trap the fish, and then you pull up the other end, and you try and pull the fish out. Guess how many fish this guy caught?
None.
Got a goose egg. Nothing. Boom. But at least we got to see how it was done. So that's how they would have fished on Jesus' day. We'll keep moving. We're probably only in the top of the second, so we're doing okay. 1 per inning. This is Sungo Kim. I don't know why I took a picture. She just took a good picture. She was there. Here's Capernaum, which is, if you recognize the name, it's actually, it says the town of Jesus. It was actually Peter's mom's hometown. It's where Peter was from. And Capernaum is at the top of the Sea of Galilee, which is not a very big, it's more of a lake. It's only about 6 miles wide at its widest, so it's more of a lake. Keep going here. This is Peter's mom's house. And the reason I didn't get a very good picture, see this little pillar sticking out there? They built a chapel right over the top of Peter's mom's house where people can worship. And so you're like trying to get the best picture possible without getting this chapel on it. But this is where Peter's mom's house was, and this is where Jesus spent a lot of time. Because, of course, Jesus had that little verse about foxes have holes and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. Well, yeah, except that he would crash at his friend's house. Hey, Pete, we're a little ways away from Nazareth. Can I crash at your mom's place tonight? Is it okay? That's what he did. He just crashed with his friends. And this is like a housing complex. And I don't know if you can see it really well. These are like basalt stones, so they're blackened, they're darker. Nobody had any privacy, ever. Everybody would have known your business because these houses are, that's a house, that's a house, that's a house, and they're all right next to each other. And of course they would have had higher walls. But you guys live on farms for the most part. You guys have like nice spaced out areas. Here everyone is on top of one another and everybody knows everybody's business. They can hear every argument you have in the house. They can hear if dinner didn't come out right. My goodness. If you snore loudly in your sleep, everyone's going to know it. So people were really tight in Capernaum. And there's a statue of Peter looking very grand there. And there's the Sea of Galilee in the background. So we're moving up here to the Mount of Beatitudes, which is just beyond Capernaum, and it is a mountain, Sermon on the Mount, right? And so you're seeing the Beatitudes, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And they have these little stones along the way that have each of the Beatitudes there. Keep going there. And on the Mount of Beatitudes, it is very common to have a communion service. I was the only pastor on the trip aside from Dr. Yo, and I cannot perform communion outside of the context of the local church. So I could serve you guys communion when I was your pastor. Can't do that now because I'm not fully ordained. Dr. Yo is fully ordained, though. He can perform communion on the moon if he wants to. Probably wouldn't go over so well, but so we had communion there, on the Mount of Beatitudes, and he was the chief celebrant. Keep moving. Actually, go back, because there is a funny story about this. They've got these little tables, right? These little areas where you can sit and gather and sing songs and have a little communion service. We're seminary students, and some of us have good voices, and some of us, it's okay. It's almost like when I put a new hymn in the order of worship for the day, and you're like, da, 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 da. We love our pastor, but no, you don't know this song. And so we're singing these songs that we know, but it's, we're not great singers. 30 feet that away, there is a group of Southern Gospel Baptist something, and they're singing in 4-part harmony, perfect pitch and everything, and it sounds like angels are singing from heaven. And we're sitting over there like, yeah, no. We were making a joyful whimper, very joyful whimper. I'm sorry, I had to share that story. It was hilarious. And this is the cathedral. This is the cathedral on the Mount of Beatitudes. Very beautiful. Looks like kind of tropical with the trees there, the palms. So we'll keep moving here. There's another view of it. This is the inside, and it's kind of in a circle. That's the central altar. Very beautiful. You'll get to see this place if you go on the Holy Land trip, which I guess is true of just about everything you've seen so far.
How old is it?
I don't know. I would have known on the trip, but it's been 10 months here. It's been a while. It's been a little while. I don't want to give you information I'm not pretty sure. If I'm not at least 80% sure, I don't want to say it. But it is run by some nuns. There's a monastery on site there, and they are like full-time caretakers of this place. And it is beautiful. They have a little gift shop, too, which is great. You can go buy little trinkets. Every place you go, there's a gift shop, by the way. And this is just part of the Beatitudes. I think